All right. So, welcome to day 4 of our masterclass, and we've done so many amazing things in the past few days, and I'm just going to do a simple recap. Um, Hold on a second. Where is the other one? This was what we did yesterday. This was day 1. So this was what we worked on the first day, and then this was yesterday. I don't think I saved the file for the second day. I can't find the file for the second day, but we'll proceed. So today we are starting with motion graphics. And we are starting with the basic aspects of motion graphics. It's important that you understand that your designs can be animated. This one you see right here, if I want to animate it, it's very simple, but we won't use this because it has a lot of elements. I sent one video on the WhatsApp group. Let me see if I can play it here. So it's just something as simple as that. You can see that it's a flyer that was animated. So we'll do something similar. We'll do something in that regard. So the first thing I'll do is to download my elements. I have a website. I like downloading my resources, and it's mostly PNG. You can download from any site you prefer as far as it serves you well. I'll just go to PNG, and I'll look for some cosmetic PNGs. Let me see if I can. I want us to work with one of these very popular brands. So my mind is going towards Nivea. How do they spell it? Nivea PNGs. So let's see if we can find anything. So okay, this is my PNG website. So these are their logos. You can get the logos first if you want to do that. So this is the square logo, and this is like the circle logo. You can get any of this. Access denied. Why? I'll search here instead. Okay, so easy peasy lemon squeezy. So when you check here, you can see a lot of products. I recommend using PNG. It's what works for me. But if you see something else that works for you, you can move along with that. Which one should I take now? Okay, first of all, let me get the logo so that we know that that one is settled. So you have to solve the captcha code and then save your download. So I'll go with this white one, and I'll go with one blue one. I do not want to go for the deodorant. I just want to go for the body cream because I feel that is That's just a decision, by the way, nothing serious attached to it. I think I will go with this, and this, yes. So once we are done with the class, I would ensure to send all of these resources to the group. So I'm going with this. So I'm just trying to get as many resources as possible, because you don't know when an idea might just enter your mind and you might need to make use of a few resources. And then let's look for a fruit we can add to it. From the inscription here, I think I would like to use something like milk to illustrate what I want to achieve. So I'll just get a milk PNG. So you can see so many different milk splashes. That, or should we go with coconut? I think I would prefer using a coconut. Yes, but I'll still get the milk thing, because in this coconut thing here there is a lot of those things. So I'll get this. And then I'll get this one as well. I think I've seen another one that I like somehow. I think this would even work better. 34 MB. Okay, so I think we are done with everything we need to download. Now we would make this simple and quick, because it won't be a good practice, especially if you've not mastered motion graphics, to add so much layers to your design, and then when it's time to animate it, you now have a lot of things to deal with. So would minimize having too many layers so that it will be easier for us to animate. Alright, so let's continue. When we get here, what we are going to do now is to create a new document, and this document is going to have the normal aspect ratio of a landscape video. You can use any aspect ratio you prefer. If you want to do the portrait form for platforms like TikTok and Facebook and even YouTube Shorts or Instagram Reels, you can do something like that. But I would use the landscape video aspect ratio. So you can go to File, New, or you just press Ctrl N on your keyboard. So in your unit. Alright, so sorry about that little delay. Let's write on. So after creating your aspect ratio, the next thing you can do is to start adding your elements. Let's go here, and then I think I would start with, which one should I use? This or this? I would prefer this. And then so since it's white, we'd have to make the background another color. So you can add a blue solid color background. Take note of their brand colors so that because imagine if we use red for this, it won't make sense for their brand colors, despite the fact that the colors might complement each other. Red and blue actually complements each other, but it's not part of their brand color, so we can't use any color outside what we are seeing here. So we just add solid color, and then I'll pick this color here. Let me see this other one. No, I think this works better. So you can see that it's helping this guy stand out. So what if we make it look like an animated website? It's just an idea that came to my mind. What if we make it look like an animated website? And if we're going to do that, let's see if we can add this, because I think this would work as well. What if we make this one of the levitating elements? I will explain, don't worry. So now we have these two. I think I'll just work with these two alone. So but we might need to duplicate this one. So we might need to duplicate this one. I would hide it first. So let's finish with setting up the background. So the background is just one solid color, and I'd like to make it a bit dynamic by adding some lights there. So I would select my brush tool, create a new layer here, and then click the foreground color so that I can pick color from here. I would select the light blue or the cyan, whatever they call it, from here, and then I'll click OK. Okay, these are one of my my tone paper brushes, but I don't want to use this brush. So ensure you are using a soft brush. Hardness should be 0, and then you can just come here and click once to make it look dynamic. I think this angle goes well. Alright, so I think no, that's too much. I'll reduce the brush size so that I can make this part a little brighter. So this is perfect. You can make another one on this edge just to complement that other side for the sake of complementing it. So we can now say we just applied the principle of repetition, because we repeated an action we made here over here so that it complements each other. Now let's add the coconut thing we downloaded. There are some elements we'll delete later on during the animation process because we might have to get a video for it. So but just follow through. Okay, I'll use this one. Now mind you, it may not be that they used coconut extracts for this particular product. We are just using this for the sake of the tutorial, so I don't care if they used coconut or not, or whatever they used. We are just using this for the purpose of this class. So you'd scale it down, ensure it's up here. Now it's important that you name your layers, especially if you're going to do motion graphics, so that when it's time to animate these layers, you are not now looking for where your layers are or trying to locate your layer. So I'll rename this layer coconut, and then I'll rename this the body cream, whatever, and then for the sake of variety, let me name this body lotion. Or no, this should even be body cream. I'll rename the other one to be body lotion. Right, so let's just name this body lotion. So looking at this here, this can fit in here, but somehow I think the perspectives do not align. It's just a thought. Despite the fact that it's just a thought, it's also an observation, and it's true, because when you study camera angles, of course adding this here looks okay, there is nothing wrong with it, it's okay adding it there, but for me I think it shouldn't be here because the perspectives do not align. So what can I do? I'll duplicate this guy. Let me make this one a little bit bigger, so this should be a bit bigger, and then I'm going to duplicate it. So you can right click and go to duplicate layer and click OK, or you can use the shortcut Ctrl J on your keyboard, or I'll show you another shortcut, but this requires clicking and dragging. So you can scale this down a little bit to give it a sense of perspective. Let me turn this off so that you can see what I'm trying to do. So I made this a little bit smaller and reduced the size, so it looks like it's a bit far into the distance than this one in front. So another shortcut for duplicating is to hold Alt on your keyboard. You will now see that your mouse cursor looks double, and then you drag it to the other side. So I want this to look like we have 3 here, and then we can just group them. So you select this one, and press Ctrl G on your keyboard to create a group. So all these things I'm doing, if you are using a smartphone for designs, that does not mean you can't learn from this, like I explained in yesterday's class. Because we are using Photoshop does not mean, as someone who uses another software, you can't learn from this. What I want you to learn is the approach and the design process and the design method, so that whatever software you're using, you can easily replicate what we just did. So after the class, I am going to send in all the resources to the group chat so that you can practice, and I would love to see your own designs. I mean, for this one, let's move on. I'll make this a little bit bigger. For us to reduce the amount of elements we need to animate, because I was going to still add this, but it's going to be one of the floating elements. I just wanted to rotate this and give it some depth of field because it's going to be behind, and I was going to add blur to it, but it would stress us during the animation process. So when you have enough time, you can experiment with. You can now see how it's making the design look. So you can see how it's making the design turn out. So you just add a blur to this one. So but it's going to stress us with animating, so let's keep it as simple as possible. So I'm just going to delete this layer. I'm going to delete it entirely so that we just stay focused on what we have to do. So the next thing we need to add is our milk PNG. Okay, so you can position this the way you like. So to create what is called depth of field, I am going to duplicate this. Now depth of field, let's rename this first before I explain depth of field. I named it milk. Now depth of field refers to, in simple terms, when you take a picture and you focus on an object or a subject, anything that is not in the same position, in the same focal length, let me use a simple word, that is not in the same position with the object in focus becomes blurred out. Let's say you want to take a picture of somebody and there is a little fence in front of the person. Maybe the person is some distance away. When you take that picture, you see that the fence that's close to you is blurred out, and anything after the person in focus is also blurred out. So the environment behind the person is also blurred out. So that is referred to as depth of field. So I want to replicate something like that here. So I'll duplicate the milk layer, take it above this layer. Then you can do Ctrl T and flip vertical. So just to create a sense of that depth of field. So the idea is blurring it. So once it's here, you can now select filter, blur, and go to Gaussian blur. So if you're using any other software, you can find out how blurring is done. And by the way, let me just say this, tomorrow we would have a special session for people who use CorelDRAW, because I've not said anything about CorelDRAW. So while the normal Photoshop class will be going on, I got a facilitator who would be taking the other guys who use CorelDRAW, so they would be learning with CorelDRAW, and very soon we'll get someone who would teach those who are using Pixel Lab all at once. So everything will be happening at once. So if you are using CorelDRAW, you just use the link for CorelDRAW users. So I'll flip this. I'll flip horizontal. I'm just trying to make it look as nice as possible. So like I said before, this milk, during the animation process, we won't make use of it. So but this is just to guide our design. Basically, this is just to guide our design process. But now looking at this depth of field, I think it's making our design look complicated, so I'll just delete it. I think like this is just okay. So looking at this, let's create a simple shadow around here. So you come to your rectangle tool, right click and select the ellipse tool, and you can just draw a simple horizontal ellipse or circle, whatever I want to call it. Change the color to black, and then now you can use a platform like what we did yesterday, like this one. You can use this platform if you prefer this method, but today let's use shadows. So I'll place this under here, and then I'm just going to blur it a little. So you go to filter and go to blur and go to Gaussian blur. Now it's going to ask you if you should rasterize it or convert to a smart object. I will explain what smart objects and raster images are. Raster images are often normal image layers, but smart objects are more like a document inside another document. So let's say I want to bring, let me quickly make a decision here. Let's go with rasterize. After this I'll show you what I mean by the smart objects. So if you don't understand what smart objects are, when you look at this design now, let's say I want to import everything here inside this design, but I don't want to take them layer by layer. I can convert everything to smart object and then bring it in here. So I don't know if we should go into that. So but a simple explanation, if you look here, you'll see that this milk is a smart object. So if I import that other design here, this other one here, as a smart object, it will be a single layer here, but when you look at the icon here, if you double click it, it opens up the document just like this milk layer. I can make another design or add another element here, and once I save it, the change reflects here because it's a smart object. So that's how smart objects work. You can do more research on smart objects. So now we've blurred out our ellipse tool, and you can see that it's looking like a nice shadow. So you can just adjust it a little. So I guess we are done with whatever we are trying to do here. Let's add a little shadow to this layer so that it looks realistic. So you can select this one and go to effects, go to drop shadow. So just to make things look realistic, let's see if it will give us what we are trying to accomplish. So I just need something like this. No, I think this angle works. This angle works. So since light is coming from this other direction, we can't add a shadow here, so let the shadow be here instead. And then let's add a few so I just saved the design. Let's add a few coconut pieces. So the thing I wanted to accomplish with this one here, I think we'll just do it with the coconuts instead. But I'm contemplating it's going to make us do some more animation when it comes to the layers. But let's proceed anyways. I think it's worth it. So we'll just add 3 of this so that we don't spend so much time. So you can select any of your, you can use any of your selection tools. I would use the polygonal lasso tool, so you can just make a random selection around the object. So once you're done with that, you can right click and do layer via cut, so it's going to separate it from the other layer. So you can just import, let's rename this half coconut. So I'll drag this into the design and add motion blur. So motion blur is different from the normal Gaussian blur we know. So motion blur, naturally when your eyes express fast moving objects with motion blur, let's say somebody's running, the frame rate of your eyes cannot see the person without motion blur. So there is always that motion blur. If you even try to move your hands as fast as you can, you would see that you can't see all your fingers when your hands are in motion. You would see some motion blur. So we would add that. So these are principles that you need to observe. So when you're trying to make a design and you're trying to make it look as real as possible, there are times where you might need to add some physical principles like motion blur. If you don't know what motion blur is, I think you should do some more research on motion blur. And if you want me to explain later on in the group chat, you can ask. So I'll scale this down and then position it maybe behind. I'll just position it behind all these ones. And then still you can do Control T, and rotate it a little bit, or rotate it how you want.
Almost done. How many are you making?
I'm making 4 of it.
Okay, I need my bag now. What is it? This one number 1.
No.
Number.
This is class.
You're teaching. I didn't interrupt you. Is it live? Nah, I know the live.
It is. See the rifle. Okay. Alright. Sorry for that little interruption. Okay, let's continue. So I would blur this. So you can go to filter and add blur, and then add some motion blur. Reduce the amount of blurriness so that it doesn't look too blurry. So once you've done that, you can just duplicate it and then bring it to this other side, and this time we'll keep it up here, and then Control T, can rotate it the other way. Can even make it a bit larger if you want to. So let's just have 2 here so that we don't, or let's make it 3, so you can duplicate this and maybe have it somewhere, not at the top though. Let's have it behind, somewhere there. I think this works very well. So this works very well. The next thing we can do is to add our text. So I don't want us to think too much about the kind of text we are going to use. So what we can do is to just repeat what is written on the body of the cream, just for the purpose of this tutorial. So you can just type what they wrote there. You can just go with CREME. Yes. We'll change the font to, let me use Montserrat. Montserrat. Yes, I'll use Montserrat bold, and I would make this one white. Okay, so Control T, you can scale it up to how you want, and then you can just drag this, duplicate this by holding Alt on your keyboard and dragging this down, or you can just do Control J on the layer you want to duplicate. So you can name this soft, because we are just using what is written here. I don't want us to worry so much about the captions we are going to use. So for the purpose of hierarchy, like I explained in yesterday's class, I'd like to lay emphasis on the soft. So I might reduce the font weight of this cream, so you can make it regular, or I don't think that really works well. let's use emphasis with colors. So there's a principle of emphasis. So I'll just change the color to this light blue. Let's see how that works. Let's make it a bit lighter. So you can, let me push this. Can make it a bit lighter. So the difference in color would create the emphasis. Now you can see that there is care shower here, so let's just add that. We'll just duplicate this one again, Ctrl J, and then you just drag it out. Select your text tool and rename this care shower or whatever. Now we are going to reduce the size. Let me quickly tell you something about golden ratio. So if you're trying to establish hierarchy and you want to use what is called the golden ratio. The golden ratio is a number that helps you in framing both in videography and in designs or whatever. It helps you frame your elements properly. So it's a number. When you come to this your text size, you can reduce the size to you can divide it by 1.618. that is the golden ratio number. You can divide it by 1.618. So like I taught us in the first class about the multiplication and division, you just add your forward slash and you type 1.618. When you press enter, it divides it. So reduce the weight to regular so that it shows like this. You can still divide it further by 1.618. that is the golden ratio number. So it looks like this. So you can still group all of these layers. Ctrl G. So you can drag them down and adjust them properly. So this is all we have to do for this particular design. This is all we have to do for this particular design. So once you're done with that, ensure that your layers are properly organized. Okay, ensure that your layers are properly organized because we are moving to the animation stage. So just give me a second. Alright, so I just needed to quickly attend to something. So we are moving on to the animation process now. Let's move towards the animation stage. Now here's what we can do. We'd have to save this PSD. You can save it. And then ensure that your layers are properly organized. So this is the one for shadows. This is for shadows. Okay. So this is for the shadows, and this is half coconut, this is milk, and this is, we can join this, right click, select both layers, right click and merge layers.